بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني من نور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We are, inshallah, finishing chapter 1 today, and then we start with chapter 2. Chapter 1 is about the arguments for existence of God. And alhamdulillah, we already have studied the arguments, only we need to finish the text. But just as a reminder, we said that if everything that exists is contingent, is mumkin al-wujud, there is no wajib, this would require either door, that is vicious circle, or tasalsul, endless regression. We explained how it would lead to door and tasalsul, and we explained why door is false. Now we need to explain why tasalsul is false. Okay? So this is where we reached. The fact that having no wajib would require door and tasalsul, we already mentioned. And then if someone says, what is wrong with door and tasalsul? We prove that door is batil. Now we want to prove tasalsul is also batil. Amma tasalsul, page 23, line 3. Amma tasalsul, فهو ترتب علل ومعلولات. Tasalsul is to have causes and effects arranged in the way that بحيث يكون السابق إلة في وجود لاحقه. The one which comes first is the cause for what comes next. Sabiq means comes first. The one who precedes is illa for what comes later, what comes second. Lahiq. Lahiqa means to join, to come after something, to follow something. So tasalsul is that A is caused by B, B by C, C by D, D by E, without any stop, without any end. ترتب علل ومعلولات بحيث يكون السابق إلة في وجود لاحقه. So some causes and effects are tarattub, they are organized in the way that one depends on the other. The previous is the cause for the one that comes later. وَهُوَ هَكَذَا, this continues. وَهُوَ إِذَنْ بَاطِلٌ, this is also batil. Why it says إِذَنْ?
Because door was also batil.
So it is like door. Door was batil, this is also batil. لأن جميع آحاد تلك السلسلة الجامعة لجميع الممكنات تكون ممكنة. We had this before when we discussed Allama Hilli's text. We said no matter you have few cause and effects, or you have million, or you have infinite number, the whole chain of cause and effect is contingent. Because if every single part of it is contingent, the whole system is also contingent. You remember which example we gave?
The hungry people.
If you feed 1 million people or 1 billion people or endless number of people, still they are poor. Bread must come from somewhere else. If one of them takes bread from the other, and the other has taken from the other. So finally, we have to reach a point that he has not got bread from something else. Otherwise, this would never stop. لأن جميع آحاد تلك السلسلة, because all the parts and members of that chain, which الجامع, which embraces لجميع الممكنات, it embraces, it includes, contains all the contingent beings, تكون ممكنة. All of it also becomes contingent. Why? Because all of it is also described as being needy. لِاتِّصَافِهَا بِالْإِحْتِيَاجِ. The whole silsila, the whole chain is also needy. فَتَشْتَرِكُ بِجُمْلَتِهَا فِي الْإِمْكَانِ. So the whole silsila of mumkinat, the whole chain of mumkinat, has a common quality, and that is imkan. They all share the quality of contingency. فَتَفْتَقِرُ إِلَى الْمُؤَثِّرِ. So the whole thing, the whole chain needs mu'athir. What is mu'athir? Cause. Cause, yeah? Okay. Now, to explain it further, although maybe even up to here, everything is clear, by now it's clear, but to make it clear, or now perhaps to confuse some people. Sometimes when you want to make clear, you make confuse people. So, this mu'athir has one of the three possibilities. Okay? We want to expand it. We say this mu'athir, if you say the whole chain, okay, is contingent and there is nothing wrong, we would have something outside the chain or part of the chain or the whole chain as mu'athir. Because we said all of it needy. If you say, okay, I show you a mu'athir. We say, what is mu'athir? You may say it is the chain itself. So it's mu'athir for itself. You may say part of it, for example, one part of it is mu'athir for the whole chain. The third is to say something outside the chain. If someone says the whole chain is mu'athir for itself, so this becomes door. Yeah? As I said, you don't actually need this, but what we said already is enough, but to expand. If you say the whole chain is the cause for itself, is mu'athir for itself, so it's door. How can a chain which is contingent brings itself into existence? If you say part of the chain, okay, something inside the chain is mu'athir for the chain, this is even worse. Because part of something is not a stranger, it's not, something which is not related. How can something depend on its part? its part comes later. Okay? So this is not also possible. If you say there is something other than the chain or its part, go outside the chain. Something outside this chain is mu'athir. What is the problem? There are two problems. One problem is that outside this chain we don't have except wajib al-wujud, because we said this is the chain of all mumkinat. Okay? So you accepted wajib al-wujud. But there is another problem. If you say, please listen carefully. If you say A is caused by B, B by C, so it means that A has B as its cause, B has C as its cause, and like this. And then you say there is something outside this chain which is the cause and mu'athir for all of it. No, now we have this problem. This external cause wants to do something. On the other hand, you said each of them has its own cause. So now we have two causes for the same thing. Because you say A is caused by B, B by C, C by D. So they shouldn't need anything else. On the other hand, you say there is something outside. So this is ترتب علتين على معلول واحد. Two causes have belonged to one thing. Okay? You cannot have two things and one creature. Sometimes this by itself is not enough. This by itself is not enough. Two of them work together, that's another issue. But if you have this as independent cause, and then another thing as independent cause, and only one ma'lul, one effect, this is not possible. Okay? Let me give an example. If I have something in my mind, for example, now I imagine a book. I imagine a book in my mind. This image of book is my creature, my creation. Can this be also imagined by another person? No. Pardon? Yes. There can be something similar to this, but it's not the same image. Because this image is either my image or someone else's image. It cannot be by both of us. Because every ma'lul totally depends on its illah, and another illah cannot interfere. If you remember, I gave you this example in Aqaid, I think, and inshallah it comes for Tawheed. I said, if there were two causes, each of them had its own chain of effects, and they would not interact with each other, then the whole world would be made into two compartments. If there were two gods or three gods, then this world was not interconnected. Because every cause and its effects are totally separate from something else. And this is why I told you, if I have a car in my mind, and you have a passenger, pedestrian in your mind, my car can never hit that passenger. Okay? Is it clear? So, two causes would have two chains of effects without interaction between the effects. So if someone says this silsila, this chain of the contingent beings has a mu'athir which is other than itself, we say, okay, we have two problems. The first problem is that other than mumkinat, we have only wajib. So you wanted to escape from acceptance of wajib, now you have accepted wajib. The second thing is, we say this external mu'athir, this external cause, cannot be cause at the same time that each of them has its own cause. Two things would belong to the same effect. This is not possible. Okay? أما التسلسل فهو I read a few lines, huh?
Yes.
Where did we reach?
Hadi.
فمؤثرها.
فمؤثرها. Okay. Line 6. فمؤثرها. What is the cause? What has impact on this chain? إما نفسها أو جزءها أو الخارج عنها. What has impact on it? Either it is itself, the chain itself is mu'athir for itself, or part of the chain is mu'athir for the chain, or something external, something outside the chain. وَالْأَقْسَامُ كُلُّهَا بَاطِلَةٌ قَطْعًا. All these types are definitely false. Now we explain why they are false.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you say that again, please, for us? Such a translation.
So, فَمُؤَثِّرُهَا, what is the cause for the chain is either the chain itself, or part of it, or external to it. And all these three types are false. Now we explain one by one. أَمَّا الْأَوَّلِ, why it cannot be the chain itself. Why mu'athir, cause for the chain, cannot be the chain? Because it's door. Yeah? فَالْإِسْتِحَالَةَ تَأْثِيرَ الشَّيْءِ فِي نَفْسِهِ. It's impossible that something has some impact on itself, has effect on itself. Why it is impossible? Because it means that it has to be there before it is there. You know, when something wants to create itself, wants to be cause for itself. So, as a cause has to be before. As an effect has to come later. لَزِمَ تَقَدُّمُهُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ. He has to be before itself. وَهُوَ بَاطِلٌ. And this is false. كَمَا تَقَدَّمَ, as we said before. Because this is door. Okay? وَأَمَّا الثَّانِي, the second possibility. What was the second possibility?
Part of the chain.
Part of the chain be mu'athir. أَمَّا الثَّانِي فَلِأَنَّهُ, the second is false because لَوْ كَانَ الْمُؤَثِّرُ فِيهَا, because if what has ta'athir, what has effect, impact on chain was juz'aha, was part of it, لازم أن يكون الشيء مؤثرا في نفسه. Here again we had the problem of door. Because this chain has many parts. If one part of the chain is the mu'athir for the entire chain, it means that it is also mu'athir for itself, because this itself is part of the chain. Yeah? If imagine we have 100 students here, and I say one of the students here is mu'athir, is the cause for this chain of 100. It's impossible. How one student, which is part of the chain, be cause for the chain?
So it's like saying B is the cause of C, and then B is the cause for A. Is that what you're saying?
Like saying what?
Like B is for C, B causes C,
Okay.
and then B causes itself?
Yeah.
B causes C, but C is a chain and B is part of it. This is the problem.
B causes C and C causes B.
You know, like for example, this,
Binding.
paper, this page, has different parts. Every millimeter is a part. Can 1 millimeter from this be the cause for this? This doesn't make sense, because if 1 millimeter is the cause for this, and this includes that 1 millimeter, so it means that it has become the cause for itself. Yes?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So whether you say it is the entire jumla which is cause for the jumla, the whole is cause for the whole, is problem. If you say part of the whole is the cause for the whole, again this is also problem. وأما الثاني فلأنه لو كان المؤثر فيها جزءها, if مؤثر was part of it, لزم أن يكون الشيء مؤثرا في نفسه, then it would imply, it would require, lazima means it would require, it would imply, it would have this consequence that something is mu'athir fi nafsih. That part has to be cause for itself. Why? Because this itself is part of that system, part of that chain, part of that whole. So it has to be mu'athir and illa for itself. Mu'athiran fi nafsih wa fi ilalihi. It has to be one of the causes of itself, occurs in the chain of the causes for itself. فَيَلْزَمُهُ تَقَدُّمُهُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ وَعِلَلِهِ. So he has to be before itself and before the causes for itself. Yes? وَهُوَ إِذًا بَاطِلٌ. This is also void or false. وَأَمَّا الثَّالِث. What was thalith?
Kharij.
Something other than the whole or its parts. Find some beings outside. Okay, we said here we have two problems. I repeat. One problem is that you said all mumkinat are in this chain. So outside this chain then would be wajib. There is no mumkin left. Second, if outside this chain is the cause, then it means that members and parts of this chain have two causes. One is the one which comes before it in the chain, one is outside. So two causes independent from each other are trying to create this. It's not possible. Yeah? Two causes cannot be independently creating one thing.
What if it's partially? Like two people can make one car, parts of it.
This is not a cause. This is illat i'dadi. Like father and mother. Father and mother are not creating the child. Creation, like I gave you example. I create an image in my mind. You create an image in your mind. These images are independent from each other. No interaction between these images. Yes? أما الثالث أما but or I don't know how can say as for, yes. Yes, as for. As for the third, فَلِوَجْهَيْنِ, because of two things. So there are two problems. الأول أنه يلزم أن يكون الخارج عنها واجبا. That mu'athir that you are supposing to be outside the chain has to be wajibul wujud, has to be necessary. Why? Because the assumption is that all the mumkinat are in this chain. إذ الفرض اجتماع جملة الممكنات في تلك السلسلة. The assumption is that we have gathered all mumkinat in this, because if some mumkinat are outside this chain, then you cannot explain how they are created. You wanted to explain creation of all mumkinat by putting them in a chain and say each is created by the other one, and as I said, they basically want to make you tired. So you say, who has created A? Say B. Who has created B? Say C. D. So if you are tired, then you say, okay, we leave it. What we said, we are not going to become tired. Indeed, we don't need to count one after the other. We say, no matter whether there are billions or infinite, the whole thing is mumkin. So what is outside this whole thing is not mumkin, because we imagine, suppose that all mumkinat are part of this chain. إذ الفرض اجتماع جملة الممكنات في تلك السلسلة, because we suppose that all mumkinat are in that chain. فلا يكون موجودا خارجا عنها إلا الواجب. So there is no existence, no being outside this chain except wajib, necessary being. Is لا واسطة بين الواجب والممكن, because we don't have any third option. If it is not mumkin, it is wajib. Yeah, cannot be anything other than these two. لا واسطة بين الواجب والممكن فيلزم مطلوبنا. So this requires, the consequence is our matlub. Matlub means what we wanted to prove. Yeah? Matlub in reasoning is what you want to prove. Athani. What is athani? The second
reason for why kharij.
The second reason why the mu'athir, the cause for chain, cannot be kharij. Okay?
What does kharij actually mean?
Outside. Kharij. أنه لو كان المؤثر في كل واحد من آحاد تلك السلسلة أمرا خارجا عنها. If مؤثر, the one has impact, the one who creates, every single part of that chain, if it was kharijan, it was something outside, external, lazima, it would have implied اجتماع علتين مستقلتين على معلول واحد شخصي. Are you here?
Yeah, yes.
They are all here.
Alhamdulillah.
Two independent cause would have belonged together, they would have created together one thing. This is not possible. But it says معلول واحد شخصي. If someone understands this, it means that he is a really good student. Why it says معلول واحد شخصي? شخصي is opposite to نوعي. نوعي. Sometimes there is one معلول, but this one not as one individual, means one type. That's not a problem. For example, we say this company has produced Kitab Bab al-Hadi Ashar. Another company has also produced Kitab Bab al-Hadi Ashar. So both of them, two independent companies, have produced Bab al-Hadi Ashar. We say they have not produced one single reality. There is no wahid shakhsi. There is no one person or one individual, one instance. This is one Baba Hadi Ashar, that is one Baba Hadi Ashar. Yes, it's one type. It's one genesis. One category. But two individuals. That's not a problem. Wahid and No'i can be created by two different causes. Because each of them create. One company produces a car, another company produces exactly a similar car. No problem. But two companies producing the same instance of car, the same individual, the same mistaq, this is not possible. Is it clear? So Wahid and No'i is not a problem, because Wahid and No'i in reality is not one. Each mistaq, each instance can be created by different things. Okay?
It's like we done in the logic, a categorical shakhsiyah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yes, in logic, you have this, that sometimes wahid is shakhsi, sometimes is no. For example, tanaquz, contradiction, is impossible with respect to wahid shakhsi. For example, we say, Mr. A is here, and we say Mr. A is not here. This is contradiction. But if we say one insan is here and one insan is not here, it is wahid. But there is no problem in this wahid, because these two are wahid al-No'i, not wahid al-Shakhsi. Okay? Yes.
Is that identical? They're not identical, is it? Is that the same thing?
Has to be one thing. If it is really one thing, they cannot have two causes. But if there are two things from one category, that's not a problem. One of them is created by one cause, another by another cause. One human being in my mind is created by me, another human being in your mind is created by you. This is wahid al-No'i, not wahid al-Shakhsi. But if one reality is created by two people, this is problem. Okay? So this is very advanced point. لازم اجتماع علتين مستقلتين على معلول واحد شخصي. Inshallah, next year when we study philosophy, inshallah, if you are alive and Tawfiq is there, then these things will help you a lot. Inshallah, when you study philosophy, you understand these things much better. Now it's a bit difficult, but inshallah then you understand better. Okay? لازم اجتماع علتين مستقلتين على معلول واحد شخصي. Is it clear? Do you understand? This is very subtle point. But alhamdulillah, now you understand subtle points. وَذَلِكَ بَاطِلٌ. To have two independent causes who want to create one wahid shakhsi, one single reality, is impossible. لأن الفرض, because our assumption is أن كل واحد من آخر تلك السلسلة مؤثر في لاحقه. Because what is silsila? We said silsila is when each is created by something before it. So سابق is مؤثر في لاحق. What is first has created what comes later. Okay? So if A has created B, B has created C, C has created D, then why you are looking for another cause for B, another cause for C? The cause is in itself. لأن الفرض أن كل واحد من آحاد تلك السلسلة مؤثر في لاحقه. Because the assumption was that every part, every single member of this chain is مؤثر, is cause for what comes after it. وقد فرض تأثير الخارج في كل واحد منها. On the other hand, you are assuming that the external reality has impact on each of them. So, on the one hand, you say they all explain each other inside the chain. A, B, B, C, C, D. On the other hand, you say there is external cause for each of them. So it means that you have assumed two independent things.
Sorry, Sheikh.
Yes.
What if there are several reasons for something to exist? Let's say, for example, a biologist would discuss and say, such and such animals were not there till there were humidity of a certain level, for example, and
Those are conditions.
oxygen. Yes.
Conditions can be many. Preparatory causes can be many. Like you should have father and mother.
Okay.
But al-illatul mufida, the one which gives existence,
Okay.
is one. Even in the case of father and mother, they cannot be working independently.
Hmm.
When they are all together, then that child is, created. Not each of them independently can create the child.
Simple.
Allah يحفظكم. وقد فرض تأثير الخارج في كل واحد منها. And it has been assumed that al-kharij means what is external has impact on each of them. فيلزم اجتماع علتين على معلول واحد شخصي. So what it requires is اجتماع means being together. Being together of what? Two illah, two cause for one ma'lul shakhsi, for one single effect. وهو محال, and this is impossible. وإلا, if it was not impossible, then the problem is that, please look at this. If this was the cause for this, and this was also the cause for this, two independent were cause for this. Then it means that this was enough to create this. So even without this, we had this. So it means that this didn't need this. On the other hand, you say this is the cause for it. It means that this needs this. Because each illa by itself was enough to create this. So it means that this doesn't need that. So why you say there are two illa? This is self-contradictory. To say two independent illa for one thing. He needs only one of them, not two of them. وإلا لزم استغناؤه عنهما حال احتياجه إليهما. If you accept that there are two illa for it, it means that this doesn't need them. While by definition when something is ma'lul, it means that needs illa. On the one hand, you say these are two are illa, so means they are needed. On the other hand, you say no, they are not needed. Because he can exist without any of them. فَيَجْمَعُ النَّقِيضَانِ فَيَجْتَمِعُ النَّقِيضَانِ. So it will be two contradictory things together. وَهُوَ مُحَالٌ. It's impossible to have two contradictory things together. فَبَطَلَ التَّسَلْسُلُ. So tasalsul is batil, and this was our matlub. Okay? We wanted to prove that tasalsul is impossible. وَقَدْ بَانَ بُطْلَانُ الدَّوْرِ وَالتَّسَلْسُلِ. So, now we prove tasalsul is batil. We had proved that dawr is batil. So, dawr and tasalsul are batil. And then we have to accept that God exists. Wajib exists. Because we said, if wajib does not exist, it would lead to dawr and tasalsul. Now we realize that why it leads to dawr and tasalsul. And we realize why dawr and tasalsul are batil. Okay? Remember we said we have to prove two things for you. Why not accepting wajib leads to dawr and tasalsul. And second is, what is wrong with dawr and tasalsul? Alhamdulillah, we managed to do both things. We showed that not accepting wajib leads to dawr and tasalsul. We also showed that dawr and tasalsul are batil. Okay? So, alhamdulillah, this chapter is finished. I start a little bit with chapter 2, and inshallah in 15 minutes I will start. The second chapter is about divine attributes, but we start in this chapter with affirmative attributes. الصفات الثبوتية. الفصل الثاني في صفاته الثبوتية. Maybe up to 1 year ago, when you were here in Sifat al-Subuti, you were afraid. Yeah? Sifat al-Subuti is a strength. But now, this is very easy for you. Sifat al-Subutiyah, because you are reading much more difficult things in Arabic. Sifatihi. Where does this pronoun refer? Wajib. Yes? Fi sifatihi means fi sifat al-wajib. As-subutiyya means fi sifat al-thubutiyya lil-wajib. Fi sifatihi al-thubutiyya. This is about affirmative attributes of God, which is wajib al-wujud, necessary being. In English, we say this chapter is on affirmative attributes of God. In Arabic we say fi. Yes? You understand the difference?
Yeah, in and on.
Yes. Because in Arabic doesn't say al-faslu thani ala this. Ala doesn't make sense. Fi. وَهِيَ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. These sifat are 8. We talk about 8 qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-ula. Al-ula means as-sifatul ula. Because sifa is mu'annath, say as-sifatul ula. Ula is mu'annath for what? Awwal. Awwal, ula. It's not awla. Awla means better. It's ula. So, al-ula means as-sifatul ula. The first sifa, first we are reading Allama Hilli's text. Okay, Allama Hilli's rahmatullah alayhi text. Annahu ta'ala qadirun mukhtarun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful and willing.
Powerful and
Willing.
willing.
Willing. He has will. Mukhtar.
It's been translated as free.
Someone who has control, no?
It's been translated as free.
Yes. Free is good, but maybe Mukhtar is better. But you can say also free. But free in the sense of he has will.
Free will.
We will inshallah explain. This is opposite to mujab. Mujab is forced. It means that doesn't act by his own will.
اختيار. اختيار. Yes, اختيار.
Yeah. No, I'm talking mujab. Mujab doesn't have ikhtiyar. Mujab is forced. Mukhtar means is not forced. You can say it is free or you can say acts by his own will. أنه تعالى قادر مختار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful and willing or free in this sense. Why? Very briefly, inshallah we explain it, but we are reading the text of Allama Hilli. The core and the essence of the argument is this. Before I read the text, the core is this. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was always with his creation, in other words, if creation of Allah, for example, this world, if it was always there, then there was a chance to say that Allah is majbur or mujab, Allah is forced. Because wherever Allah was there, this was also there. For example, sun and shining. What is the relation between sun and shining? Shining, giving light, is an act for sun. But sun is mujab. Sun cannot say, I don't want to shine. Okay? Cannot say, I don't want to shine. If sun is there, it has to shine. This is mujab. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na'udhu billah mujab? No. Why he is not mujab? The way mutakallimin normally argue is this. Of course, there can be more advanced arguments. They say this world is hadith or muhdath. Hadith means it didn't exist and now it exists. Muhdath means created. So, there was a time that this world was not there. So it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want this world to be there, and later he wanted this world to be there. So he decides for himself when to create. It's not like sun. Sun cannot decide when to shine. Okay? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be there and there is no creation, and then there is creation. So it means that he is deciding for himself. So this argument is based on huduth al-a'la. But we believe that even if alam was not hadith, still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not mujab. And we talk about it in philosophy. But here this much is enough. So this alam is created. It means that it has a history of non-existence. It didn't exist, that it came to existence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was there and this was not there. Then later Allah created it. So Allah is not mujab, because if Allah was mujab, this must always be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay?
Exactly, yes, that's right.
So, Allah Muhalli rahmatullah alayhi says, أنه تعالى قادر مختار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful and willing or free. Why? لأن العالم محدث. Because this universe, this world is muhdath, created. And when it is created, it means that it was not there and then it came to existence. Now you may ask why it is muhdath. You know, we have here two premises. One is to say that this is muhdath, and then to say kullu muhdath fa'iluhu mukhtar. So we say, why Allah is mukhtar? لأن العالم محدث. Why alam is muhdath? لأنه جسم. Alam is muhdath because alam is jism. Jism means mass, physical mass. وكل جسم لا ينفك عن الحوادث. And every physical mass is not free from hawadis, means changes, events that happen. It goes through changes. Something which has changes cannot be qadim. I had this for you before. Because we said if something has changes, it means that still it has some time in front of it. If it was qadim, it means that everything must have finished by now. So, alam jismun wa kullu jismin la yanfakku an al-hawadis, and every physical mass is not empty or free from hawadis. Hawadis means events, accidents, things that happen. Like harakat and sukun, motion and stillness. Sukun means not to move, to stop. Sukun and harakat. Hawadis means changes, things that happen. So, kullu jismin la yanfaku an al-hawadis, and alam is jism, so alam. You may say, why haraka and sukun are hadith? We say because haraka and sukun should be preceded by something else. وَهُمَا حَادِثَان, these two are hadith, لِاسْتِدْعَائِهِمَا الْمَسْبُوقِيَّةَ بِالْغَيْرِ, because both of them require to be preceded by another thing. something which does haraka, this haraka cannot be eternal. Or sukun cannot be eternal. Please remember, sukun here means a stillness of something that can move. We don't use sukun for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't say Allah is sukun. Sukun is like a car which is not moving.
At rest. At rest.
Yes,
Rest.
but for something which can move. In logic you studied Adamu Maleke. Okay? Adamu Maleke means both of them should be used for a subject which accepts them. For example, we don't say this wall is blind because it cannot see. Al-Basir wal-A'ma Adamu Maleke. They are Adamu Maleke. Or for example, ignorant and educated. We don't say this wall is uneducated. And if I say why, you cannot say, for example, is it educated? Say no. Say, so it is uneducated. Say no. It is not educated and it is not also uneducated. Because these two are Adamu Maleke and they belong to a subject which can admit them. Haraka and Sukun are two characteristics of Jism. Something that can sometimes move, sometimes stop. So, these two are Hadis because they should be preceded by something else. Before Haraka is Sukun, before Sukun is Haraka. وَمَا لَا يَنْفَكُّ عَنِ الْحَوَادِثِ. And whatever cannot be free from changes, so it means that it is muhdathun. It must be created. Something which cannot be, because something which is qadim doesn't have changes. So anything which has changes is muhdath. فَيَكُونُ الْمُؤَثِّرُ فِيهِ. So what has created this world which is hadith? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So فَيَكُونُ الْمُؤَثِّرُ فِيهِ وَاللَّهُ تَعَالَى قَادِرًا مُخْتَارًا. So the cause for this alam has to be powerful and free, or powerful and with will. Why? Because this alam, you said, didn't exist and then existed. If Allah was mujab, if he was not free, so this had to be always there. Is it clear? لأنه لو كان موجبا لم يتخلف أثره عنه بالضرورة. Because if Allah was mujab, if Allah was not mukhtar and was mujab, was determined, was forced, then its effect could not disobey, could not fail to be there. Like sun. What is the effect of sun? Shining. Shining cannot do takhalluf, cannot fail to be there when sun is there. When sun is there, shining is there. So sun is mujab, is not free. But Allah was there, this alam was not there. Because alam is muhdath, means it didn't exist before. Is it clear?
Yes, right. Yes, indeed, yes.
لأنه لو كان موجبا لم يتخلف أثره عنه بالضرورة. بالضرورة means necessarily, it's obvious. فيلزم من ذلك. If Allah was mujab, his effect had to be there. So either you have to accept that alam is not hadith, is qadim, is eternal, or you have to accept that Allah is hadith. If you want to insist that Allah is mujab, so you have to say Allah didn't exist before, which is not possible. Or you have to deny that alam is hadith. If you accept that Allah has always been there, and this alam, there was a time that didn't exist, you put these two together, and the result is that there was a time that Allah was there, but He didn't want to create this. Then later, He created this. This is why this alam has two situations. It didn't exist, now it exists. Yes.
If you're saying we have to accept that Allah is mujab, then you said that we have to accept there was a time when Allah was not there. Why is that?
Because what we need is to say that Allah was there and this alam was not there. So that we can show it's not like sun and shining. If like sun and shining, they are always together, then someone says, so sun is mujab. Because we have always seen them together. Of course, this is not enough reason, it's not a good reason, but there was a possibility that someone says, because we have always seen this together, so sun is majbur, is forced to have shining. If someone says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is majbur, is mujab, is forced to have this alam created, you say, is alam hadith or qadim? You say it's hadith. Is Allah hadith? No. If you say it's hadith, then it's okay, no problem. He's hadith and therefore he can be mujab and have created effect. If Allah was one, hadith. But Allah is not hadith. So there was a time that Allah was there. I said there was a time, this is a lack of good words. So there was a time that Allah was there, this alam was not there. And this proves that Allah is not mujab. Yes? For example, I can sit, I can stand. This shows that I am not forced to sit and stand. But if I have always been sitting, then you could have imagined maybe I am majbur, I am mujbar. But now that I sometimes sit, sometimes I don't sit, it means that I am not forced. فَيَلْزَمُ مِنْ ذَلِكَ إِمَّا قِدَمُ الْعَالَمِ أَوْ حُدُوثُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى وَهُمَا بَاطِلًا. So, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not mukhtar, was not free, then this alam, either you have to accept that this alam is qadim, which is not the case, or accept that Allah is hadith, which is not the case. So Allah is qadim and this alam is hadith, and therefore Allah is free. Now we have to go to commentary. Inshallah, commentary for next week. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.